I'm Allison Gormly, and thanks for joining me for What's the Deal? A 10-year-old fought for his life after getting E. coli from a food that many of us eat every day. Now his family wants to know where that product came from. Ahead, I'll tell you the roadblock that they're hitting. And we worry about air pollution outside of our house, but what about the air pollution inside of our house? Why you might want to think twice about the products you spray or smell daily. Plus, childcare is a major concern for many families, and some are turning to au pair services. I'll break down how they work and what it could cost your family. Here's what's the deal with those consumer headlines and more. Many of us eat produce to try and stay healthy, but that's how one 10-year-old boy got E. coli. After going into kidney failure and spending weeks in the hospital, his family wants to know how exactly did he get sick. A sports lover is how you would describe 10-year-old Colton George.
It's a signed Ellie card.
Whether it's collecting cards or hitting the baseball diamond.
I was up and running all the time. That's a signed Paul Skeens ball.
Then, just before Thanksgiving 2024,
I was going to the bathroom like 5 or 6 times a day. My stomach was like cramping really bad.
Mom and Dad, Chris and Amber George, took him to the hospital.
And they were like, your son does have 2 different types of E. coli. And unfortunately, he had the E. coli that is the worst, that produces sugar toxin, which sent him into kidney failure.
Colton spent 18 days in the hospital.
No parent should ever have to go into a hospital room and see a tube down your kid's throat.
According to the Food and Drug Administration site, Colton is one of 89 connected cases.
We know it's romaine lettuce, but they won't say who supplied the romaine lettuce.
The FDA did not issue a recall, saying the impacted product identified appeared to be past shelf life and no longer on the market at the time of the outbreak. So no recall, no supplier name.
There's just no transparency at all from the federal government, and we're taxpayers, and I think that we should have the name of the supplier that made my son sick.
When someone gets E. coli, the hospital passes along a sample to the State Department of Health for more testing. Then the data is uploaded to the Center for Disease Control's database PulseNet and the National Center for Biotechnology Information to see if anyone else is affected by the same strain. The Food and Drug Administration also investigates sampling product, doing an analysis, and an on-site investigation. But an investigation does not mean families will find out who supplied the lettuce.
I get no phone calls back. I've left message after message and I get no phone calls back from nobody.
The FDA and CDC both say they do not talk to patients. Communication goes through the state health department, and they would not say if they get the FDA's findings. When we asked why the FDA cannot release the name, they said commercial confidential information restrictions, more or less trade secrets.
People need to be aware of like what they're buying. I mean, it almost killed our son.
So the Georges contacted a top foodborne illness lawyer for help.
I'm busier than I've been in years, and so that's a bad sign for consumers.
Attorney Bill Marler believes the FDA should name companies behind outbreaks, active threat or not.
We live in a capitalist economy, and if we don't like something, we don't buy it.
Marler said in his experience, outbreaks usually happen because of systematic environmental problems. Think growing leafy greens across from livestock.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they're pumping out a lot of E. coli every day. It's getting into the water, it's getting into the air.
And he believes the buck stops at the supplier.
They wash it, they chop it, and they bag it. Once they do that, it becomes their responsibility.
But finding out the party responsible without a recall and without a lawyer will require Congress to change the law. Maybe one day giving families like the Georges the information they feel they deserve.
It's really traumatizing. When I get reminded of it, sometimes like I just start tearing up because I don't want anybody to remind me of that.
Colton's family is suing the company they believe is responsible for the lettuce. We have the company's response online at WTHR.com under What's the Deal. Now, if you want more transparency from the FDA in this kind of situation, you can talk to your U.S. representatives and senators. Also, when I asked the Georges lawyer if he eats romaine lettuce, he said yes, but he buys a whole head of lettuce and washes it himself. He personally does not touch the pre-chopped, pre-washed bags. We spend about 90% of our time indoors. That's why some researchers are studying how sprays and fragrances affect the air we breathe. Here's what they found and how you can reduce your indoor air pollution. Running a farm keeps Angela Klauser busy.
How old? She's a week.
From raising lambs, chickens, and more chickens, to tending a large garden.
Grapes, raspberries, apples.
And sometimes the stuff outside makes its way inside.
We're obviously cleaning every day.
The products she used for a while were heavily fragranced.
I noticed that I was having sinus infections and migraines all the time. I was a young mom and I thought, oh, I'm just stressed.
Her conditions got her researching about the product's possible health impacts. And she may be onto something.
We conducted an experiment.
Engineering professors at Purdue University are looking into possible health impacts as well.
The more we study, the more concerned we become.
They're measuring the air in a tiny house turned laboratory on campus.
We do a very careful job in replicating what someone would do in their house.
They're testing air fresheners, cleaners, and wax melts. To gather this data, they use the same tool that's used to study outdoor pollution, specifically tailpipe exhaust.
The air is so polluted that we have to use a robust instrument.
Their work found that products fill the air with particles small enough to get into your respiratory system and spread to other organs.
The goal would be really to reduce use of heavily fragranced, complex chemical products because they are simply injecting too much into our air.
And that's the move Angela made. Now she makes her own solutions using rubbing alcohol, water, and vinegar.
So when you peel your lemons, you can just put it in some vinegar and it'll make your vinegar smell like lemon.
Making sure the air her family breathes is as fresh as being outdoors. Now that the team has evidence indoor pollution is happening, they're hoping more studies take place related to possible health effects. Well, spring sports are here, and you may need to buy your little one some gear. Probably not a surprise, but it is expensive. Here's how to save money on all that stuff. This spring, Zayden is excited to play baseball.
It's important to let them kind of use their energy wisely and have an outlet for it, a safe outlet.
Mom Katie Lovell said the sport also means buying a good amount of gear.
I was a little caught off guard, I won't lie.
On her list,
You need everything that you could imagine. You've got to have the specific colored socks, got to get your helmet, a glove, and then a bag, of course.
she estimates she spent around $175 on top of registration. Prices like that are the reasons some sports families turn to secondhand items.
You're going to save 50%. Yeah, sometimes more.
Elaine Hale owns Play It Again Sports in Indy. She estimates about 1/3 of their inventory is consigned.
We sell probably about 5,000 pairs of used cleats between baseball, soccer, and then football. Make sure there's a lot of cleat left.
And they're always looking for more inventory if you're looking to get rid of gently used items around your house. For example, if you bring in an item worth $50,
They will get 30% of that back in cash to walk out the door with. If they want store credit, they'll get 40%.
Hale said one way they check bats for broken pieces inside.
And we'll tap like this and make sure we don't hear the jiggling and things like that.
They also do not accept helmets older than 5 years or if they have a crack. Another opportunity to save money on equipment could also be Facebook Marketplace. Recently, we found this lacrosse gear and lots of bats. Just be sure to check out the items in person before buying, giving good gear a second chance and possibly saving families some money. I know we're talking about kids gear here, but the same savings approach goes for adults too, whether it's golf clubs or home weights. Finding safe, reliable childcare is a must for working parents, and some families may consider an au pair. An au pair is someone who goes to a country to learn about the culture and help families around the house. Let's take a look at how the program works from hours to cost.
Gonna be the bank.
At 19 years old, Ruby is the newest member of the Hayes family.
It's just like being a big sister.
An au pair from Germany, she lives with her host family full-time and helps care for their 3 kids.
Like at the moment they have a lot going on, so I'm just driving them to activities.
While childcare is part of being an au pair, It's also an international cultural exchange program, kind of like a foreign exchange student.
Also, they take me when they're traveling, which is really, really cool.
Her J-1 visa allows her to stay in the U.S. for a year, with the option to extend for up to a second year.
We have had a total of 5 au pairs, and they have all really been wonderful.
Ann Hayes is Ruby's host and said the program offers her family flexibility.
She is able to take the kids to school in the morning so that we can get ready to go to work and then pick them up in the afternoon.
As with any job, there are boundaries.
So it's 45 hours of childcare a week is the max, limited to 10 hours a day, 1 weekend off per month, and they get a minimum stipend.
The minimum weekly stipend, $195 a week. Plus, families need to offer 3 meals a day. Other costs can include an extra phone line on the family plan and another driver on the insurance policy.
All in, I tell families to budget about $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
And for the Hayes family, Ruby's help is worth every penny.
She's really good about playing with them, spending a lot of time with them, and the benefit of having that long-lasting relationship has been really special.
Again, this is a cultural exchange experience. Au pairs are not professional childcare. For some families, having a person in your home for a whole year doesn't work. Now, most high school seniors have picked their college by now, but they may still be figuring out how to pay for it. Some experts say you should not borrow more money than your first year's expected salary. So what majors are earning the most money early in their career? Computer science, followed by a variety of engineering, hovering around $80,000. The least amount of money early in their career, foreign language, social sciences, and performing arts hovering at $40,000. If you're taking out loans, opt for federal first.
They have fairly extensive borrower protection, so you're protecting your future self in case anything goes amiss down the line. There are also usually a greater variety of repayment options relative to private student loans.
While the federal student loan interest rates for next year are still to be determined, there's a chance it will be higher than last year's rate, which was 6.53%. I'm Allison Gormly, and that's What's the Deal. For more episodes of What's the Deal, go to our video on demand and click on Shows at the top of your screen. There you'll find past episodes of What's the Deal plus other shows on demand.